Hi, this is Naomi Anderegg, and I'm in week 3 of a Math 116 class. This is a problem. I'm kind of pulling up problems strategically, problems where I've had students in the past get stuck, and that's kind of their ending place for the week. Um, because I feel like these are the types of problems that are kind of barriers to moving forward within the Carnegie Learning System for my students. So this is one. It is one that requires the linear relations tool, and it's a word problem. So I wanted to go over this problem and the thinking that I would do in order to solve it. So I'll start by reading the question. Montel is setting up for a cat show. The convention center has set aside 250 square yards of space for the show. The fire code says there must be more than 60 square yards of free space for the walkway in the show. Montel is planning each exhibit to take up 20 square yards of space. How many exhibits can Montel have in the show? So let blank represent the number of exhibits Montel can have in the show. This is the thing we're trying to find, and it's an unknown value. So this is where I would use a variable. So I might call this x. I could use a different letter, like n, since it's the number of something. Maybe I'll use n. And that's fine. Enter an expression for the number of square yards available for walkways. So for that, we kind of think, well, there's 250 square yards, but some of it is taken up by exhibits. And for each exhibit takes 20 square yards of space. So I need to take the number of exhibits in and multiply that by 20. And that's what I need to subtract from my 250 to see what I have left. So I could do n times 20. I prefer to write that 20n, but you could do it either way, I think, here. Maybe I'll try just to see if it'll let me do n times 20. I want a multiplication sign. I don't see one, so I'll just put parentheses. There we go. N times 20. Yes, it'll let me write it that way, or I can write it 20n, either way. Enter an equation or inequality that can be used to answer the question. Now, I'm in the part of the class that's on inequality, so I have a feeling it's going to be an inequality. And I also know that the fire code says there must be more than 60, not exactly 60, anything more than 60. So this expression here for the number of square yards available for walkways, that value, whatever it is, has to be bigger than 60. So I'm going to write it again, 250 minus, this time I'm just going to do 20n. I know that has to be bigger than 60, so I write greater than 60. That is on your keyboard. If you can find it, where is it? Let's see. I just did it without thinking. It's shift and then the period on the keyboard. And then I just press enter. It tells me I'm right. And then use the optional solver to calculate the answer to the equation or inequality. I'll go ahead and go through that. Let's see. Over here is the solver. So I've got the inequality written here for me. And so my goal is to isolate the n. So I know I need to get rid of this 250. So I'll subtract 250 from both sides of the inequality, just like I would with an equation. Can't quite see that. There. And then I'm down to negative 20n is greater than negative 190. I need to get rid of that negative 20. It's multiplied times the n. So I'm going to divide on both sides, and I'll divide both sides by negative 20. And I don't really love that they leave it at that step, because really at the moment that you divide by a negative number or multiply by a negative number, you have to change the direction of the inequality. So this inequality right here is actually wrong. This needs to be pointing the opposite direction, but in this next step in Carnegie Learning, I go ahead and change the direction, and I see that n is less than 19 divided by 2. So that's less than, it's going to be 9.5. I'm thinking it's going to want me to give, let's see, I'm going to go ahead and do it just like this, less than 19 over 2, and see what happens. This is correct algebraically. Remember that the number of exhibits must be a whole number. That's what I thought. So less than or equal to, or maybe at most 9. So I'm going to say at most 9. And it tells me that that's right. So in our answer here, we have to keep in mind that we are actually talking about exhibits or whatever we're talking about, apples, games, something that can only happen in a whole number. So we want to round that. And that's how I'd work this problem. That's all. I hope this helps. Bye.